Welcome to the Hidden History series. In this episode, we will discuss the bizarre World's Fairs exhibits that became defined as the Incubator Babies, which became a socio-cultural aspect of American society and mainland Europe from the 14th of July 1853 to the 26th of April 1895. When you look at the historical narratives of Western science, you will discover that there are some huge events that have happened that are never discussed. One such event is called the Orphan Train movement, which was a welfare program that transported over 250,000 children, with claims the number was actually over 540,000. On locomotive carriages from crowded urban areas in the eastern United States to foster homes in the Midwest United States. It was claimed that these infants had been orphaned, abandoned, abused, or were homeless, when actually these were new immigrants. So where did all these infants come from? At the same time as the orphan trains, you had something called the Incubator Babies. The bizarre Incubator Babies were exhibited at the World's Fair, called the Exhibition of the Industry of All Nations, at Bryant Park in New York City, from the 14th of July 1853 to the 14th of November 1854. But there were vast numbers of the Incubator Babies that were also shown at other world fairs across mainland Europe and elsewhere on planet Earth. This activity continued right up to when the World's Fair, known as the Fremantle Industrial Exhibition, was organised in the port city of Fremantle, next to the Swan River in Western Australia, on the 4th of October 1894. When this World's Fair ended on the 26th of April 1895, the Incubator Babies were then concealed from the public. After these world fairs, you had a man called Martin Arthur Cooney display them as a sideshow at the world fairs from 1896 around the United States and first world countries. Martin Cooney was an obstetrician in the United States who became known as the Incubator Doctor. He established an amusement park sideshow called the Infantorium, in which Europeans, Canadians and Americans paid 25 cents to view prematurely born minors displayed as the Incubator Babies. Whose children were the Incubator Babies? Where had they originated from? How was it possible for parentless infants to be exhibited as a sideshow at the World's Fairs? Nothing that we have been given as the accepted historical narrative is actually correct. Most of the immigrants that left mainland Europe was for safety reasons, then settled in North America. However, the immigrants could not have constructed the massive buildings in locations such as Baltimore, in Maryland and Richmond, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, alongside the numerous other urban settlements of the eastern United States that are seen in so many photographs from the Victorian period. Were the Incubator Babies a version of predictive programming and culture creation to prepare the minds of human beings for the covert techniques of genetic cloning? Was it so it could become accepted in society? Even though most individuals do not know who Martin Arthur Cooney actually is, he became quite famous in his own right. Martin Cooney was an obstetrician from the United States of German Jewish descent. From the 1st of May 1896 and onwards until the 5th of February 1943, Martin Arthur Cooney held exhibits of the Incubator Babies at the World Fairs to demonstrate the efficiency of the incubators through the United States of America and mainland Europe. Martin Cooney was an apprentice physician and worked under the obstetrician called Pierre Constant Boudin at the Paris Maternity Hospital in Paris, France. On the 30th of April 1896, Pierre Constant Boudin sent Martin Cooney to the Great Industrial Exhibition of Berlin. That was also called the Berlin Industrial Exposition in 1896, to show a new incubator and to promote its use throughout mainland Europe. At the Berlin Industrial Exposition, Martin Cooney held an exhibit called the Kinderbruder in Stahl, or child hatchery, to demonstrate the effectiveness of incubators. Many of the buildings at the Berlin Industrial Exposition were remnant edifices from Great Tartaria and the Old World Empire, and therefore Martin Arthur Cooney was exhibiting some incubator babies which had originated from Great Tartaria. Were these the parentless infants from the Old World Empire? With self-motivation and enthusiasm, Martin Cooney coordinated his first show in the United States of America at the Trans-Mississippi and International Exposition. This was a World's Fair held in Omaha, eastern Nebraska, from the 1st of June 1898 to the 1st of November 1898. Its objective was to showcase the development of the entire western United States, stretching from the Mississippi River to the Pacific coast. The rural location of this World's Fair did not attract large crowds of Americans, so the Great Reset was not adequately promoted at that location, and therefore Martin Arthur Cooney returned to mainland Europe to host an exhibit at the Universal Exposition of 1900. That was also called the 1900 Paris Exposition. After this event, Martin Cooney then returned in 1901 for the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo, which was a World's Fair in New York City in 1901 from the 1st of May to the 2nd of November 1901. Martin Arthur Cooney housed incubator babies in a building which had been constructed for his exhibit in the amusement section of the Pan American Exposition. Because this World's Fair was so large, the various incubator babies that Martin Cooney had put on public display attracted media attention from the Journal of Pediatrics, Scientific American, and Cosmopolitan. So when you visited these World Fairs, you could purchase a ticket for 25 cents and view these incubator babies, which were often put amongst the freak sideshows and the entertainment areas. There is very little information to what was done with these infants after these shows, but it would make sense that this would have added to the excessive number of children aboard the orphan trains and in the orphanages at this time. But the way these were displayed at the World Fairs, it would also suggest that there was some sort of industry being created with these incubators, and these were being put into production. There are no public records about how many incubator babies were nurtured by such methods, but there were films made, and in 1901 the short film called The Over-Incubated Baby was produced by the British filmmaker and ceremonial magician called Walter Robert Booth. In the film, he stated that you could get 12 months growth in 1 hour within these incubators. This may be an exaggeration, but why and what was the need to make this bizarre film? Or maybe it was an advert. Where did all these babies come from? Were these the first genetic clones made? Do these contribute to the term we have today called NPC, which is a non-playing character? Could this explain how so many just follow aimlessly with the narratives of Western science? Because so many of the incubator babies were displayed at the World Fairs, it means that a kind of predictive programming and culture creation had been revealed to the American people, as with many other human beings on planet Earth. Thank you for watching, everyone. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.